All right, so I want to talk to you today just a little bit about the coffee cruise concept and kind of where that originated and how it's kind of developed now since March. We kicked this off early this year in March. And of course, as we were coming around the corner from 2020, we were looking for different things to promote as far as travel is concerned. And I think most of us here are involved in some way or other in the travel and tourism industry. So I think we all understand the challenges that this last year have presented and trying to find new and interesting ways to get people to come to our area, but still provide them the opportunity to do it at whatever their comfort level might be. And so, for example, the coffee cruise, I guess, kind of started in my mind just because I started to notice that we have a lot of coffee shops in Dickinson. I don't know if you know the size of our community. It's not a real large town, but we have a lot of coffee shops here. And so to me, that was kind of a thing where, maybe we need to focus on this. Maybe we can turn this into something that would be of interest to a traveler who may or may not already be passing this direction, or for someone who is local and is just looking for something else to do, but give them an opportunity to experience a little bit of a different side of Western North Dakota here. So before we start, I'd like to invite you to take out your phone if you have it on you, or if you have a computer in front of you, go to our website. You'll see the web address at the top of the screen here, visitdickinson.com/coffee cruise. And if you're on Facebook, it's just The Coffee Cruise that you'll search for. It is a Facebook group. You should be able to join it automatically. Sometimes I get a request to approve, and I can't really answer the question as to why some of them require approval and some do not. I suppose it just has to do with a person's privacy settings. I have it as open as I can make it, but regardless, go on there and request to join. And if I can't admit you right yet, I will soon. But then you can just kind of follow along with us as we're working through this morning. So where to start? And I hope this page here will kind of give you an overview of what we're going to talk about and maybe kind of serve as a prompt for you later on. We will make the PowerPoint available to you. I can send it to you in PDF form after the fact. And my email address will be at the end so that you can send me a request for that. I'd be happy to send you these slides if you'd like, as a little bit of a help for you if you want to kind of go down this path yourself. I would encourage you first to start by asking yourself, and this is what I did, what is unique about my location? And in relation to the coffee cruise, obviously, it was the number of coffee shops we have in Dickinson, and how can I turn that into something that's of interest to a traveler? And then, how can I make this location or this concept a marketable experience for people? Or if you are marketing a destination or an attraction or a local business, the same idea. How can I make this something that is of value to people? And so for me, it was easy to provide a theme for this idea. Obviously, everything is revolving around coffee here, so that was kind of a no-brainer. But then turning this also into, as it's developed, a marketable day trip or trip itinerary. So actually, the way that we have this set up, it is an itinerary in and of itself. And so that's, in a way, is self-perpetuating. And that is my end goal with this, to get the coffee cruise up and running to the point where people are perpetuating this on their own. They are participating in this, and that keeps this idea moving forward without it having to all be reliant on us, although we continue to be very involved in it on a daily basis. And of course, when you're starting something like this, you really have to determine what your target audience is. That's, I suppose, fundamental to anything marketing related. Who are we trying to reach out to? What age might that be? What gender are we reaching out to here? Maybe it's all inclusive, and that's great. I think the coffee cruise kind of is. And then we'll get into some of these things in detail in a moment here, but create a website for yourself. And honestly, as you look at this, that's probably the biggest piece of value that we have from this whole concept is our website, and the fact that all of this is built into our website. We get everything coming right back through our website here at visitdickinson.com. So all the analytics and all of that kind of stuff, the way it's set up, we benefit from that personally. And I'll go into depth on that in just a moment here, but it's all measurable data. And that's, of course, very, very important. Create a social media campaign. And if you can, and what we've tried to do here, even just in a small way, is to build a brand around the concept of the coffee cruise. So it's not just a name that, oh yeah, people can go and drive this stretch of road, but hopefully now it is a visual and it comes along with an idea of, hey, I see that brand, I recognize that brand, and then now that relates to an event or to a an experience that you can have and that you can participate in, and that hopefully then we can market more successfully. When and where it's possible, incorporate photo and video. I'll go into depth. I hope that I'll be able to offer you some tools or some tips that'll be helpful to you, and some resources to help you build a concept of any kind in-house. And you're probably familiar with some of these things. Maybe we can expand on some of these platforms a little bit more and help you with that. But everything for the coffee cruise has been done in-house, short of sending out the graphic to the printer who had to physically print our rack cards and our posters for us. We couldn't obviously do that in-house on the quality of paper that we needed. So besides that, everything was done in-house, and we've saved quite a bit of money there. And hopefully then in so doing, by building a concept like this, you're promoting local businesses that will turn around and promote your concept. And so we're kind of all working together here, and providing an experience then for the travelers or for the locals who want something else to do in our community. As I mentioned, coming into this year when COVID continues to be a consideration for us, at least, this hopefully provided people an option to, in their small family units or in small groups, get out and have an adventure or an experience in a group that they were comfortable in. And so that is, I think, more and more a reality for us. We have to continue to try to market to people who are concerned about those kind of things. And so that was also a thought here. All of this hopefully then encouraging longer stays in our community. Maybe you're not going to come and stay overnight just for a cup of coffee, but maybe you stay for an extra hour. Maybe you now shop in our community while you're here, or you visit an attraction while you're here. And now that's just a little bit more time and opportunity that we have to put our community in front of people. And it really is all then about the visitor experience. And I stress I think maybe the use of the word experience rather than just a destination or just an attraction. Nothing wrong with those things. We all market all of those things as well. But if a person leaves having had a positive experience, in my mind, that translates then to a positive memory. And if you have a good memory of something, you're more likely to come back and repeat that experience again. So there you have your repeat customers. There you have your return visitors. And you have your people that are probably going to come back to your town again. And maybe then the next time they come and they stay longer, they do more. And hopefully then that becomes a demographic that we can reach out to in a whole different way. So the visitor experience side of things, I think, is huge. For us, the other part of it was, what are the parameters we put on something like the coffee cruise? Where does that start and where does it end? Are people realistically going to come to Dickinson and just do all the coffee shops in Dickinson and be excited about that? Well, maybe they would be. I'd hope they would be. I'm excited about the newest ones that we have in town here. And little secret, I'm not even that big of a coffee fan in all reality. My wife loves coffee. We do this together. It's something that I love doing with her. But it is something that is very popular, I think, for a lot of people. One of the things that when I was looking at this in the early stages too, I noticed that you look around North Dakota and and other states, you've got a lot of wine related experiences, and people follow the microbreweries and that kind of thing all over, and they will go out of their way to hit up all of these locations, even if they're not in a localized geographic area. They'll go out of their way to find them. But we don't, at least not in Southwest North Dakota, we don't have anything coffee related as far as that kind of experience. And so that was part of my thought. Well, maybe, hey, this is something we can capitalize on here. And maybe now they can come to Dickinson and they want to do the winery and they want to do the brewery. Great. Now they can also hit up all the coffee shops, and that's another part of that experience. So we were lucky enough here to have the Old Red, Old 10 Scenic Byway that just happens to run right to Dickinson. And you're probably familiar, but from Dickinson to Mandan, that is designated as Scenic Byway. So that, of course, runs parallel to Interstate 94. And people are driving this corridor all the time. They're coming right through Dickinson all the time. So why not then take advantage of something that's already in place? So I encourage you to think about that. If maybe you're looking at starting a concept of some kind like this, or maybe you are already working to promote something, but you're trying to find a different way, maybe a fun route to get people to take along the way. Are you near a scenic byway? Do you have something that you can tag team with another business, another entity or attraction that you can work alongside to help you get your concept up and running and off the ground? Maybe that'll make it a little easier. It certainly did for us as we got further into this. You may remember back in June, if you've been aware of the coffee cruise at all, we partnered with, and we've been very fortunate, the Scenic Byway Committee for the Old Red Trail has been very collaborative. We were able to work with them and promote the Old Red Trail rummage sale on the same day as we then created the Coffee Cruise contest, which was kind of our big official first contest for the Coffee Cruise. We had a lot of people that participated in that. They were already driving the route. They're already doing the rummage sales. Why not add the Coffee Cruise onto that as well, and kind of expanded that idea. So that was kind of how we decided what route to market. So for me, that was an important thing, because otherwise the Coffee Cruise is just a cute idea, but it doesn't really have a route that people can drive. So I wanted to give them something physical to be, a route to drive. And then as I started even just to build a logo for this, it was then now I had an idea to go along with coffee and cars and the driving experience. That was all part of it. And then the other thing I'd recommend is make sure, and we'll expand on this in a moment, make sure that you are making this as user-friendly as you can for people in terms of how to find your business, how to find your destination, how to really access, in this case, the whole concept. So as we started talking about the route, obviously I made some graphics that I could push out to kind of make the idea of this route and this drive fun, right? So make everything, if possible, create visuals for every piece of this. I have an entire folder just full of graphics I've made for every possible scenario for the Coffee Cruise, whether that be the driving route, whether that be the contest rules. Everything is branded, everything has a certain look to it, and it all sort of fits within this so that we can market every piece of it. I want to take just a quick second here to promote the free stuff that you can do through Google. You may be familiar with the work that Julie has done in our office for Google services. There's so many resources out there that are available to you. If you create a Google My Business account, and you should hopefully already have that for your business, for your attraction, probably even for your event if you do it correctly, and you can get that set up. And then once you do that, then you have access to all those services that you can get through Google. One of which we really used heavily was the interactive Google map that we created. So if you go to our webpage, if you have that in front of you and you scroll down past the introduction, which unfortunately is a little wordier than I'd like it to be, but I really wanted to make sure people understood the concept here. You will see, of course, our promo video, and then I believe right below that, you'll see the Google map. And it's basically a map that you can click on, and you'll see geographic locations plugged in for every single place on the Coffee Cruise. And below that, then you'll see a listing of all of the coffee shops. And you'll see the websites or the Facebook links and all of their addresses and phone numbers and everything included there, so that you can find those entities very easily. So hopefully this makes it really simple for people who want to jump in. Maybe you're not going to start the Coffee Cruise in Mandan or in Medora. Maybe you're going to start right in the middle, and you just need to know where to go. Well, rather than just giving them names that they then have to Google search and try to plug into their GPS, everything should be clickable, and they should be able to access that right away. And then all of that, again, being a free service through Google. That was pretty easy to do, didn't cost us a thing, and made that much more accessible to people when they're looking for this. And I want to back up and say we did extend the Coffee Cruise as far as Medora on purpose, even though the Scenic Byway doesn't quite go that far, just because we have a lot of travelers who are in fact headed to Medora. We wanted to give them something to do that whole route all the way west. Then creating a website. And I think we all understand the relevance and the necessity for a website. One of the things I'd encourage you to think about, and what we did, rather than starting a brand new website just for the Coffee Cruise, which you could do if you don't have an existing website, what we did is we built a web page into our existing website. So understand that the Coffee Cruise is essentially managed and owned, if you will, by the Dickinson Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so everything about this concept is funneled right back to our website. Visit dickinson.com/Coffee Cruise is just a separate page that we created for this. And within that page, then we put all of this content. And of course, everything's cross-promoted. So that's linked to Facebook. Facebook is linked to this, and it all works together here. You could just create a website landing page. If you're in Google and you're registered, you can create a free Google website for your event or for your attraction or whatever, if you don't have one readily available. But it might be best for you, if you are linked up with Google Analytics, just to go ahead and do this on your own page, on your own website. And then everything is sent right back to you there. Drive people to the website, gather the data and analytics. That's huge, because then, of course, we all know, then you can really drill down into that demographic and figure out where they're coming from and where they're referred from and how long they stayed and what their interests are, what their ages are, what their genders are, all of those things that then you can turn around and use if you're going to go so far as to create an ad. Okay, and we'll talk about that as it relates to Facebook pages versus groups and that kind of thing. But we have a very limited budget here, so we've been doing as much of this in-house as we can. And if you can save as much as you can and put that little bit of budget that you have towards an ad that you can boost, well, that's money well spent, I think, once you understand your demographic and who you want to push this out to. One of the other things that we did, and if you look at the webpage, you'll see some links, and I put the graphics here as well. We wanted to make this as all-encompassing as possible. So not only is it just a coffee experience, but hopefully then once they've reached your website and they're looking around, we put as much other information. You go all the way to the bottom of the webpage there, you'll find links back to dining, back to lodging, back to area attractions. But that's specific to Dickinson. But if you click on the graphic that says attractions on the coffee cruise, it also takes us to some Google Forms. Again, Google Forms are free and easy to use. You can set them up, doesn't take any time at all. And right there, then we provided links to the attractions in these various communities that you're going to be visiting along the coffee cruise. So let's say you're going to go to Hebron and you're going to stop at Dark Side of the Brew, which is a fantastic coffee shop, by the way. Make sure you stop there if you're in Hebron. But maybe that's only a piece of it. Now you're in Hebron and you're thinking, well, what else can I do while I'm in town here? Well, you could stop at Dakota Clay Works, visit the pottery shop, go to Fort Sauerkraut, go to the Hebron Brick Factory. All of these pieces are now incorporated. So hopefully once we've got them to the page, now we're pushing them out into these communities. When you're in Dickinson, be sure to stop at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum, the Ukrainian Cultural Institute, and we're feeding them other information about tourism and not just coffee. Okay, so coffee's sort of been the catalyst to get them onto our website, to get them here, to get this information in front of them. We have one called the Coffee Cruise Chatter, and all that really is an opportunity for me to get feedback about the coffee cruise. People can go on this Google form and they can tell me what they like to drink at this coffee shop, where they stopped, and we get feedback. If I choose to use that to promote an area of business, well, now I have a little bit of content that I can push out that way. Okay, so user feedback, obviously we're always looking for user generated content, and that's one way to do it. I don't have it on the website right now, but when we were heavily promoting this with some of the news companies coming into the Coffee Cruise contest that we did, I also made a media kit available on the website as well. And I put graphics in there, I put video in there, so that if a news outlet was looking for something, they just had to click there and everything was downloadable for them right away. So that kind of expedited that process so that I didn't have to be running back and forth. I could just send them right to the website, hopefully for everything in one spot. Reaching them with media, I think, is a huge thing. And for sake of time, I'm not going to play this video for you today. You can look at it on the website. It's about a minute long, which is probably about 30 seconds longer than it needs to be in all reality. But it was the more official video that I wanted to create for the coffee cruise. And I think we know that a lot of the raw footage and the more real content that is put out by users today is probably where our success is going to be found. But I think if you're creating a brand, like I'm trying to do with this, if you're really trying to get your brand imaging set up, you also need to start though with very professional photo and very professional video. Then once you got that up and running and you have your brand established with what looks very professional, then you can start building in that user generated content. And then that really, I think, will increase the interest for people, for users who are on your site and who are interacting. But to begin with, you want it to look professional. I don't want just tacky pictures of coffee cups that I took with my phone that don't really look good. And I'll tell you the different platforms that I used, the different programs that I used here in just a moment. I'm going to have to go all the way to the end of this in order to move through here. Let's see. There we go. So we're talking about video editing and creation. Two things. Now, there are countless video editing programs out there. I'm not going to say that this is the best. Excuse me. It's just one, and it's one that we've used, and we've used it because it's very affordable. It doesn't cost much for a subscription every year. You can see the logo there. It's called Wondershare Filmora. Pretty easy. This is what I started working with when I did video editing, and before working here, I had no experience with video editing. So we have the luxury in our office here of learning as we go, and that was one of the pieces that we had to learn, was how to do video editing. And so you can do it on your phone for that matter, to a small extent, if you're using iMovie. However, Wondershare Filmora also has a mobile option. So you can download a free app on your phone for no charge, and you can do some basic video editing right there. You can put all your transitions in, you can download and input all of your graphics and that kind of thing as well. The thing that I want to stress really heavily, though, is the program called Canva. I think probably everybody's heard of it at least. If you haven't, please use it. Please look into it. Now, you can use Canva for free. And I want to spend a little bit of time on this, and maybe we can kind of discuss some options here when we get into the discussion portion in just a moment. But there's a lot that you can do. We happen to use the Canva Pro version, and I can't recommend that highly enough. All three of us use it probably on a daily basis. Everything for the Coffee Cruise has been built in Canva. So that means all the photo, all the graphics, all the video, I've done all of it in Canva, even the video footage. And I think that's the piece that people don't always realize is how much video footage is available in Canva for you to use. And I don't have it open in front of me now, but on the sidebar in the Pro version that we use, there are options for your uploads, anything that you're bringing into Canva, also your photos. But then there's a tab specific to video. When you go in that, you can search just about anything. We've done marketing videos for the CVB just at large, and I've searched North Dakota Badlands. You find the Badlands footage, it's drone footage I couldn't go out and take. It's in Canva. So once you've paid for your Pro version, and as a nonprofit organization, we pay $12.95 a month. It's cheaper than a Netflix subscription. So, and we're getting far more use out of it than we would anything else. So it's really, really invaluable for us. And I recommend that you use it because everything is essentially, it's stock photo that's copyright free. You've paid your subscription, you can use it however you want. I download all those photos, I download all those videos, I take them over into my other software and I put them all together into video. Okay. I still go out and take pictures and video of things locally, but stuff I can't get comes in high resolution right here through Canva for you. So I encourage you to take advantage of that whenever possible. As we're looking at brand imaging, then you can see here the main poster that we used, and you can kind of get a feel for the different stuff the different look that I was going for the Coffee Cruise. The logo that you see at the top there was built in Canva. Maybe you have a concept in your mind of something you want to start, but you don't know where to begin. Well, one of the places you could start with is just a simple logo. Canva offers you a logo creating option right in the program. You can do it for free. I just took a coffee cup and I took a car and I shoved them together and I made a logo. That's something that I put on everything that I do so that it has our look to it, our brand to it. The thing is about the Coffee Cruise is this, like I said, this is part of the Convention and Visitors Bureau's material now, essentially. So we used our own brand imaging for everything, all the fonts, all of the primary colors that we're using, all of that stuff is part of at large part of what we're doing here at the CVB. Now, there's a couple things that are unique to the Coffee Cruise. The burlap and the canvas that I've used, the coffee beans. Well, that's not going to go on all of our branding. Those are specific to this particular project. But if you're working as a business and you already have your brand set in place, maybe you can let some of that overlap into a concept if you're trying to create that. That's what we were able to do here. And just so that your brand is recognizable. Hopefully, as I said earlier, when people see the Coffee Cruise or think of it, they're going to think of, the warm colors. They're going to think of the wood and the burlap and the coffee beans and all those things that to me worked well for this idea. Okay. And then taglines and branded phrases that we use regularly, those can pop up in your marketing all over the place. If you have 2 or 3 of them set aside, we have one that I use regularly, grab a cup and cruise. That's one of my taglines that I've been using for this, or all your favorite stops, all your favorite shops, and just spelling things a little different to make it a little bit unique, and doing some things like that becomes part of your marketing. Here's some of the graphic design pieces that we've used. You can see the rack card up close there. I took the little location devices and I found in Canva, I just typed in location and coffee together, and lo and behold, Canva had coffee or little location icons that had a coffee cup in the middle. So that became a piece that I use regularly now. Incorporated the roadway in there to suggest the idea of the cruise. So you can see, hopefully this will be consistent all the way across the board. Everything that we do will have the branding on it in one way or other. Okay, so really the graphic design part of it is a huge part to that. And that's probably where we've spent the majority of the time, is just really trying to build how that's supposed to look. If we're talking about social media, there's a lot of stuff that we already know. And I suppose there's questions that you could have in terms of why are we only using one social media platform versus the countless that are out there. Well, our thought is, for one thing, we already have a Facebook page for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I'm not going to go out and create another Facebook page. Instead, I chose to create a Facebook group. And there's a lot of, I've got a website I have on here called databox.com. Encourage you to go to that. That'll answer some questions for Facebook group versus Facebook page. And if you dig around in that website, you can find some really valuable information in there about those things. And in all reality, you know, based on the research and the reading that I was doing, and Julie and I had long conversations about this before we actually officially created a Facebook group, you know, which is of more value to us. Research suggests that there's a higher sense of community within a Facebook group. Obviously, there's a niche audience here in a Facebook group. You're joining this page because you like coffee. You want to talk about it. You want to see the memes. You want to be a part of the discussions, and you want to have the activity. So there's better engagement there because of that. I think we've probably all seen that organic reach is kind of going down the drain lately. You're not getting a lot of interaction through organic reach anymore. If you're not putting money towards it and you're not paying to play, you're just not getting the reach that we used to get a couple of years ago. And so the difference is that within a Facebook group, you have a target audience of people that want that content, and they're much more likely to interact, and they're much more likely to then give you feedback and that kind of thing. So you may notice in a Facebook group, you know, you post something and that people can interact with it. And as soon as they do, you have the option just to turn your settings on so that that most recent content pops to the top of your page. So every bit of interaction is put right in front of your face every time somebody likes or comments on a post. And that's a little different maybe than a Facebook page. Typically, Facebook groups have larger followings than Facebook pages do as well. And so not that any one is right or wrong. You have to decide what works for you. If you don't have a Facebook page at all, well, I suggest that you get one, and maybe that's the place to start. But for us, it worked really well to do this. And at this point, I'm just doing Facebook group because I want to do good. I want to do well at this before I move on to something else and add another platform on. We already have an Instagram page for the CVB. We push content out there. We're on YouTube. We've created a YouTube playlist specific to Coffee Cruise videos so that people are searching there. We've created a hashtag, and hashtags are still active and usable on Facebook. You can search using a hashtag. So if you want to go on there and you want to find something about the Coffee Cruise, but you can click on that hashtag, and anything that has been tagged with that now comes up as a specific search related to the Coffee Cruise. So create a hashtag. It's simple. Just start it. Just type it and start using it on things, and Facebook automatically recognizes it and populates with that. Of course, they're probably a little bit more user-friendly on Instagram. They're used heavily there, but valuable nonetheless. Either way, talked about the website already to one extent. The QR codes are actually coming back. That's kind of a thing that's made a resurgence lately. And because now you just have to open up your phone and hover over the QR code, you can direct people right to your content that way. I put that on just about everything we've done. It's on the back of the rack card. It's on the front of the flyers that went out to all the coffee shops and that are hung up around town. So that if you're not wanting to sit there and type out your full address, this is a lot quicker and a lot easier for people. So I really encourage you to do that. We paid for it a very small amount of money for that. And I think we got, was it 2 or 5 QR codes? I can't remember. And I don't think I included that website on here. I can tell you what it is. I think it's called QR Code Generator. And we get all the analytics from it. So you can tell how many scans it's had. You can tell who scanned, where they scanned from, all that kind of stuff, just by looking at those analytics. So yet again, that's data that we can use. Just another piece to try to make this as fully conceptualized as possible. I wanted to try to hit this from every possible side so that people who were coming at this while they're driving down the road, they didn't have to type in a URL. They could just scan a code if they wanted to and take them right to that. Click a button, takes you right to the coffee shop. This is as hopefully as user-friendly as possible. Then we also use, if you're, we recommend, everybody recommends daily posts, engage as much as you can, interact as much as you can. Using the National Day calendar has been a big thing for us at the CVB. Go on there. I think it's nationalday.com, I believe, is the website. Go on to that, and you can find multiple holidays for your particular day on the calendar, and that makes it a lot easier if you're just looking for content to post. Obviously, keep your audience engaged. These are some of the different things that have been pushed out. You can see the poster here for the for the Coffee Cruise contest and how we were able to partner with the Old Red Trail rummage sale there, the graphics that we used for the rules to play and all that kind of thing. Asking questions, providing as much value and interest for people is key, I think, on social media, but also on your website. If they're going to come and then there's just like one little sentence, that's not going to do much for them in terms of engaging them and keeping them on your page. The bounce rates, we talk about that when you're looking at analytics. How long are they staying? How are they getting there? Where are they going once they leave your page? All of those things are important. So if you can provide them enough value, they'll stick around, and then maybe they will participate, and hopefully they'll stay longer because you gave them enough to do. And then obviously setting aside a budget for ads, that's something we talked about. And then the other thing that I'm not going to go through every single thing on here for sake of time, but one of the other things that we talked about just recently in our office, actually, as we were kind of reviewing through some of these things, and we go through stuff periodically and just to review to see what the success rate is for what we're doing for the time spent, and business buy-in, or customer buy-in. How are you getting people to agree to participate in this? I think there are nearly 30, I couldn't give you an exact number, but I think nearly 30 coffee shops on the Coffee Cruise now, they're included. And how are we getting those people to agree to be a part of this and to want to participate in this? Obviously, I could have just said, here's a Coffee Cruise and here's all these shops. Well, if they don't know that they're a part of it, they're not going to help me promote it. And so then it's not going to move forward the way we want. So I put together packets, I emailed, I called, I made multiple stops at every single coffee shop along that route to try to build a little bit of a relationship with those people, even just to be able to put a name to a face. And then I was surprised at how many people, as we began to really think about the Coffee Cruise contest a couple months after this kicked off, how many people were willing to donate, because I wanted some decent prizes to give out to the winners. Nearly, I'd say half, if not 2/3 of the coffee shops donated something, gift cards, merchandise, to the prizes to get their name out there. And then we had some great stuff to give out. One of the pieces to this is that they get to use our Facebook group. They can post there anytime they want to promote their own local business. And what that does is that fills up my page. That gives me content that I don't have to push out every day, but it also gives them an opportunity to promote their business. So they're seeing some value from it right there. Periodically, I'll post on the Facebook page on behalf of different businesses just to make sure, because some of them are not very active with it, and I want to make sure that their content is getting out there as much as anyone else's. So we do that as well. And then, of course, there's a lot of other ways that we've tried to reach out with this, not just social media and the website. We've been on weekly radio broadcasts. We've done a number of different news stories. Obviously, there's a lot of print media. We have a local newspaper called the Heart River Voice, and it's been featured there a number of times. Great partnerships with the Byway, like I said. So a lot of different pieces to it there that have hopefully helped us to get this concept out. And then, as I welcome any suggestions or any feedback on this too, because this is something that continues to develop. I think that there's stuff that I would like to do. We're getting ready in the next couple of weeks to do a fall contest. So if you're following the page, you'll see information about it there. But if you have thoughts, if you have suggestions on this, I welcome those. I'd like to continue to see this grow and develop over the next months and hopefully longer than that. Hopefully, my goal is that this will be self-perpetuating, that people will enjoy this enough that they will be able to that they'll be able to share and get other people involved. We have this on North Dakota Tourism, and I think that's something that people need to take advantage of is the website there and all that tourism will do to help you push out your content as well. So keep that in mind as well. If you're interested in getting any of these slides, I can sure email them to you. My email address is there, and lots of other information about the Coffee Cruise on the website. So are there any questions for me at this point, or any comments or any feedback?
I have a question.
Yes.
So the interactive map that you showed, that I've never seen that before. How long did that take to make? And is it are they all attached to their Google business listings?
I don't even know that all of them have. Julie, maybe you can speak to this. I'm trying to remember now if all of them have to have a Google business listing in order to be able to be plugged in. But I think I just used street addresses for all of those. It didn't take long to put together. Julie has done this for a number of different attractions in our area. Just because it's a really great way to go about it. Our city map has this, with different layers to it. So all the dining, all the restaurants and all that is layered in a Google map like this. Julie, do you remember, do they have to have a Google My Business set up for that, or?
No, you don't. Like Joel said, so he made one for the coffee cruise. Our office also has one on our website for the dining, shopping, attractions and things like that. So they're all listed on there too. And this is so easy to do. All you have to do is, it's all done in Excel. I mean, you can do this manually, but when I did the one, so if you go to visitdickinson.com and if you hover over things to do, the fourth item towards the bottom is called interactive map, things to do. If you click that, it'll take you directly to the map that I made, and you'll see all those items. You can pick what graphic you want to be featured for each kind of business. You know, if it's a restaurant, I chose a hamburger. If it's a nightlife, I chose a martini glass. You know, you can customize that. But everything that I uploaded to this was done in Excel. So I just made columns, you know, for the business name. Actually, well, if you click on any business on there, you know, if I'm clicking on Jack's Family Restaurant, I made a column for address. I made one for city, state, zip code, phone number, and then website and description. So I took the description for it right from our website, of course, and then the website for it. Again, like Joel said, we want all that traffic funneling back to visitdickinson.com. I could have put, you know, if Jack's has a restaurant or a website or their Facebook page, I could have put that. I didn't, because it's our map, you know, we created it. So I directed the traffic to our website, and then from there they can funnel off into, if they want to, you know, go to their Facebook or whatever kind of a listing they have. You can also upload a photo on there too for each business. You just customize what you want to in the Excel document. It does not link directly to their Google listing. You could, if you wanted to, you could add, instead of the website address, you could search their business in Google and then give their URL as the website address. You could do it that way. But when you look at the map, it pulls it up right there anyway. And then at the top, it shows you an arrow, which will take you to the directions to get to that physical location. So this is super cool. And I don't know what kind of results Joel has had with the coffee cruise interaction, but you also get analytics on these Google Maps. And to date, we have had 10,279 views of the interactive Dickinson map that I'm talking about. But again, he has different results for his. So it's a really nice tool. It gets used.
Yeah, and you can plug that into any number of different places on your sites for different things, even if you just wanted to. In fact, Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there is one of the gardens in town called the Research Gardens has done this for every variety of plant within their garden. They have GPS locations with descriptions and names of plants. So if you don't know anything about it, you can walk around, use that map, and it tells you every single thing in that garden just using this free map. So it's really a cool option.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. That's really cool. I'm excited to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah. Any other questions at all?
I have a question. Mine is concerning the QR codes. Mm-hmm. And I noticed the logo is in the center of your QR code when it comes to your coffee cruise. Is that an option that's from the website that you use to create the QR code, or did you do that on Canva?
That was an option that came through that QR code company. And I think you can do that with most of them. Honestly, you can plug that in and just kind of import your image, and it will build the code around that so that you can have it personalized to you. Obviously, for me, it was just more of a graphic element. It's not a necessary thing. I just thought it just sort of drove home that brand a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty easy to do. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
One thing I will.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just quickly, if you do create something like this, and we just did it recently, the coffee cruise and the North Dakota coffee cruise, we did register it with the Secretary of State for a trade name. So consider that. And then also if you get a logo, just because if you start to create something and it takes off, you don't want somebody else taking that same name and suddenly you've got to change your whole project. So it's inexpensive. It's good for 5 years, I believe. So anyway.
Yeah, and okay, so I know you gave us some tips as far as like running the Facebook group goes, but I've been personally terrified of Facebook groups because exactly what you mentioned, it's a lot of work to just maintain one page. So I don't know. Does that kind of keep itself alive in your experience, or do you feel that you have to prompt sometimes, or?
You know, in a way, that's a hard question for me to answer for this reason. I have chosen to post nearly every single day. Now, in the early days, I did it even on the weekends, but I think, you know, once I did that on purpose to begin with, because I wanted to make sure that people were really seeing this and I wanted the businesses to be encouraged to post. So I really, you know, I kind of drove that home. I sent them messages. I asked them to be active on it. So I mean, now I don't have to do as much. I can let it sit sometimes for a day or two and I don't post and someone else will. You know, the thing about it with that is too, I've been lenient in that, you know, it doesn't just have to be coffee. Some of these places are also serving food and sometimes they post their food or they'll post a sale that they have. Obviously it is still a coffee shop and that is the parameter on it, but sometimes they're posting other stuff and that's made it a little bit, you know, a little bit easier now. And that's kind of, like I said, my goal. I want this to be something where people are engaged enough that they're doing the work for me. And I've had other businesses, other coffee shops outside of, that's why I drove home the point of the geographic location or the parameters that we put on it. These are the coffee shops I'm going to promote or that we're going to promote as the Coffee Cruise. But I have people from communities outside of this area that have also posted on it. And I figured, oh, that's fine. You can go in and you can limit how many times a day they can post. I had, you know, you have people that that want to post more frequently or whatever. So maybe you don't want, you know, 10 posts from somebody that's not on the cruise in one day. You can limit that, but just even at that, that means they're interested. That means they're engaging with your page. And so that right there is less work that I have to do. So far, I can't really say it's been difficult to do just because I've kind of chosen to be that active, but I'm seeing now that people are doing this on their own a little bit as well. So I think it's fairly simple. And honestly, because these are such niche-based groups, in other words, you know, I don't think people on the whole are going to come in and post something inappropriate on a coffee page. There are groups probably for that. They can go do that there. They're not doing it here, so I'm not feeling that I have to moderate, and that I'm grateful for. So, you know, I wasn't sure about that. You create something, you just never know where it's going to go. So far, it's been great. I haven't had any problems, you know, in the last 6-8 months with it. So,
Awesome, thank you.
yeah. Any other questions?
Joel, I have a quick question in regarding groups. Could you share on how you do the Facebook ads, if you can run them from the group, or do you have to share that content to another page prior to doing an ad?
Yeah, that's a good question, and something that we had to toss around here a little bit in the office because, you know, like I said, the CVB has a Facebook page, but you unfortunately, and this would be a downside, although I don't want to discourage you from using a group, you cannot create and boost an ad through a group, unfortunately. So it would be ideal if the Coffee Cruise could create an ad, and then you would just see that ad coming out on behalf of the Coffee Cruise. Instead, the Dickinson CVB, who owns the Coffee Cruise page, has to create that ad and push it out as our content on, you know, as the CVB. Also, you'll notice that when the Coffee Cruise posts, technically the Dickinson CVB is posting. Okay, so if you look at it, and I think they've changed the layout of that a little bit. So now the group header comes above the Facebook page that has done the posting. So that's great in terms of how it looks on Facebook. But technically all the ads have to run through and be put out and boosted by the page itself. So, you know, if you consider that a negative, then that would be one thing that you know, that I'm not a huge fan of. But it's worked well for us because, you know, it's all the same people doing the same job put out by the same office. So it hasn't presented a real problem yet. It's just how it shows up to the public when they see the boosted ad. Any other questions or thoughts or things that I welcome suggestions. If you think there's something that could be added to this to kind of help further develop this idea of the Coffee Cruise, I'm open to that as well. I'd love to hear it. And if not, I encourage you to join and to engage with this. I look for, and I tell you what, talk about organic content not being what it was before. On this particular type of page and in a group, I found that I can put tons of time into creating what I think is a beautiful ad, and I can go spend, do whatever with the graphic design. And then somebody sends me a picture of their cup at a coffee shop and 40 people like it. It's just a raw picture that they didn't spend any time on, and that's the one that gets the engagement. So I think that's very telling. And maybe in answer to your question, then Alicia, that in itself is what we're looking for to keep these kind of groups active. People just want to hear from their friends. I think the groups tend to be a little bit more informal. They tend to be a little bit more personalized. And you can do different types of groups. You can do secret groups, you can do private groups, you can make them public, as I've chosen to do here. And then you can really monitor who comes in. And I think then that takes care of that problem for you. If you're really concerned about whether or not this is going to be something you can keep up with, well, then decide how you want to put this group out there and only admit the people that you feel are going to be valuable contributors as well. So there's a lot of different ways to go about that. People just tend to network better within a group rather than on a page, from what we've seen. So